To the streets. Protesters in Sudan are demonstrating their displeasure with the military, which launched a coup this week, putting the transition to civilian rule on hold. Military ruler General Abdel Fattah Burhan says the army seized control because of a political deadlock in the country. Well, here to provide more insights on what is happening in Sudan and why we should be concerned is Near East Center for Strategic Engagement CEO Sargis Sangari. Sargus, you recently returned from a fact-finding trip to the region. What do you make of this? Why did this happen?
It's good to be here, Gary. We had an inkling and understanding that maybe the multi would move against the current transitional government, and the reason being because when I was in South Sudan, we saw that there was a linkage with at least two individuals in the South Sudanese government that were advising the civilian leadership within this so-called transitional government, and we saw possible ties to the Muslim Brotherhood. And I think in this particular case, it's very much possible that the military made the move to ensure that Muslim Brotherhood will not be able to have another opportunity to come back into the region. Because if it did that, then it would destabilize that entire area from Egypt all the way down to Kenya, to Uganda, and Tanzania, and so on.
Well, I understand that the military there in Sudan is very close to the Egyptian military, and they both oppose this GERD, the big dam that Ethiopia is planning.
Well, they do, but I think that's more of a political piece. When you look at the technical aspect of it, it's not that much of an issue. But of course, the countries will use the dam as a piece. Now, the current military in Sudan has still stated that they're still committed to elections in 2023, which would now put the Sudan elections on the same timeline technically with the South Sudanese elections. And if you listen to what is coming out from the major military powers are very tied to each other, in this case, Sudan, Egypt, Kenya, Uganda, and all the other powers within the region, you're not seeing too much of a pushback as far as the coup is concerned. I think the worry that the Sudanese had, the Sudanese military, was that it was be possible that what Egypt went through under Obama administration, where the Muslim Brotherhoods came to power, that they were starting to feel that they were being squeezed to the same level under the current Biden administration, who has some of the same old advisors that were under Obama. And Jeff Feltman, who was a special envoy for the U.S., was there the day before the coup took place. So you can kind of look at what the possibility of how badly U.S. foreign policy is somewhat feckless in the region.
Do you think our officials even knew that the Muslim Brotherhood was active there?
I don't think they knew, to be honest, and I think they were caught off guard. I mean, you heard the reporters themselves said it was a surprise for him as to what happened within the region. Some advisor had told them that. The fact that it was the Sudanese military that actually conducted a raid while I was there on the ground in Kenya against an ISIS cell, and they lost 10 of their officers, showed that ISIS and the Muslim Brotherhood was very active within the borders of Sudan. The worry is that this would have had also destabilizing effects on South Sudan. Even the South Sudanese military recently has pushed back on Kiir's ability to possibly control them by saying that we're not going to accept payments anymore because we want to see a change in the military of South Sudan, or I should say in the future of South Sudan. So the military is in the region from Egypt to Sudan, and South Sudan somewhat are linked together on the same pathway of wanting to make sure that you get rid of the Muslim Brotherhood within the region.
Well, Egypt knows that very well, and we've seen the effect of that when the Brotherhood came into power there in Egypt and really persecuted the Christians there. So why should our viewers, people here in the USA and around the world, be concerned about this?
Concerned about it because, like I said, it's a feckless ability of the U.S. to be able to affect foreign policy when you have your special envoy the day after he leaves for a coup to take place, and you have the POTUS in the U.S. not knowing what's happening. It's as equivalent as when we had our CIA chief meet with the Taliban, and within 72 hours, an attack had taken place against U.S. forces, which was the last final suicide attack against our forces before we left Afghanistan. I think we're losing our footprint within the region. I think if anybody really had a very good understanding of the region is the Israelis, because at the same time, the transitional government was looking forward to being part of the Abraham Accord. And I think when you hear nothing really seriously coming out against this particular coup from the Israelis, it means that they probably understood what was happening on the ground, and U.S. had no clue.
And quickly, how should we respond then, the United States, at this point?
Well, the issue is you cannot support a coup, but at the same time, you have to understand why the coup took place. All we could do is ensure that we hold the current military powers in Sudan to their word that there will be elections in 2023, and help them and help the regional powers to finally get rid of the Muslim Brotherhood and ISIS that is operating out of Horn of Africa. Because if they're operational, then as it was before the 2019 coup, where you saw Bashir out, Iran even was able to use Bashir to move what it wanted within the region. We need to get rid of the ability for these terror operating networks and state to be functioning and have a foothold and roots in Horn of Africa.
Okay, Sargis Sangari, CEO of the Near East Center for Strategic Engagement. Thank you, Sargis, for sharing your time and insights. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. God bless.